Buddy, how's it going? Oof, just woke up. Right now it's Sunday morning, January 15th. Let's see, are we live yet on YouTube? Make sure that we are. Sometimes these things, let me refresh the page. And then we'll rock this. Okay, there's an app playing, so I guess that means we're on. So I just got back from work a few hours ago. I apologize if I seem uh, groggy. You know, my head always get groggy when I take night shift. I work graveyard shift at my work many times, and will do so for many more years. Um, why? Because I gotta pay the bills, and why? Because YouTube doesn't pay the bills. So I just got home a few hours ago, and I worked graveyard shift also last the other night, and I posted on Facebook and Twitter, and so you guys already knew that HBO gave me the screeners to the Last of Us series on Friday, this past January 13th, and that's 3 days after the embargo had already lifted. The embargo lifted this past Wednesday, January 10. So you saw, many outlets, including a few lucky YouTubers, posting their review. Um, so I got mine on Friday, and I told you guys I was pissed off. I was so upset. I'm still upset and deeply annoyed, because if they had given me the screeners um, last week or 2 weeks prior or even last month, I could have had time to put together a well edited and concise video review for you guys instead of this impromptu where, as you know, I'll be rambling on because when when I'm not in jump cuts and edited, the video could go on for like 20 minutes here. My train of thoughts will be like, um, so yeah, prior to Wednesday, I could have had time available. So, but this post Wednesday, I didn't. I had to work. If you put a gun uh, to my head and choose between making money, to pay the bills or doing review of The Last of Us, I would always choose making money because I got to pay the bills. So unfortunately, that's the case that we are in right now. That's why I'm doing this live stream because this is the only time this morning that I have to talk to you guys about this show. It sucks. It totally sucks. I gotta be honest with you. They fucked me. Basically, they totally fucked me, and they robbed me of the opportunity again to put together a well edited and concise video review for you guys. With my train of thoughts not rambling or ranting on. So yeah, but then again, I'm a small YouTuber. I'm a nobody. I get it. A lot of studios want to take advantage of that. They think like, oh, this guy is nobody. Let's just put him in the back of the burner, back in the line. Let's just shit on him. I get it. I get it. That's just something that I have to continue to live with, and it sucks to say this, but I'll take what I can get. So they gave me only episode one, unfortunately, but that's more than enough because the episode one is very long. It's about an hour and 20 minutes, I should say. I don't know if that's the runtime for all the episodes this season, but it's very beefy, very lengthy, very substantive. So let's get right to it. I have a few notes here on my notes, so that my my scattered brain won't go all over the place. Um, as you all know, I'm not a gamer. Does this look like the face that has played the Last of Us video game? Of course, no, sorry, Bob. But I did anticipate this show for many reasons. One of which is being that I'm a fan of post-apocalyptic dramas. I've been a fan of post-apocalyptic dramas for many years, and so that's one of the reasons. I was like, this thing looks good. This thing looks amazing. This thing looks promising, and of course, a lot of you video game fans are anticipating it because of this live-action adaptation. You want to know whether or not it's faithful to the original material and all that stuff. I can't make that comparison because I haven't played the game, but I can judge the show based on its own merit, and it is fantastic. It's terrific. Okay, the episode I saw was great. It was so good. It was so good, and you'll get to see it as well tonight because it'll be airing on HBO at 6 p.m. tonight. Um, And look at that, man. Pedro Pascal. Holy crap. He is both part of The Mandalorian and The Last of Us. Two excellent shows. And Mandalorian will have a new season coming up, I think in March. So, I mean, dude, this success could not happen to a cooler man, to a better man. I mean, big fan of Pedro, great actor. And he's just on top of the world right now. Um, so yeah, The Last of Us is bloody terrific, very well put together, very intense. It looks, from what I've seen, it looks like they put a lot of care into it. Nothing about it screams out half-heartedly or half-ass. Um, Again, the episode I saw was lengthy, an hour and 20 minutes long. I believe it had some of the best cinematic scenes I've ever seen on TV. Yeah, there's this long sequence of Pedro and Gabriel Luna and Nico. Sorry, I'm using their real names. They're in a pickup truck, trying to drive away from the screaming crowds. Like when shit finally hits the fan, and it's like, oh my god, everybody's all panicking. And that sequence was amazing. The cameras inside the truck. It reminded me of the if you remember, if you reminded me of the first few minutes of John Krasinski's A Quiet Place Part Two. Remember that, the sequel? Uh, the first few minutes of A Place Part Two was just Krasinski and the camera inside the pickup truck, trying to get away from the crowd. That's what it was. That particular action set piece puts you right in the middle of the chaos, and it's incredibly, incredibly intense, incredibly awesome. Again, I'm not a gamer, so there will not be a comparison in this long rant review. But it seems that having what's his name, Neil Druckmann, right, and everybody involved with the game, having them be an active creative force on this live action adaptation pays off. It seems that they're um, being hands-on with this project from the get-go pays off, and it results in a very gripping, very pulse-pounding, very nail-biting post-apocalyptic drama thriller, which is exactly what I hope for. So this show lives up to my expectations and a bag of chips, basically. The best way to put it. Now, one of the things I noticed. My cousin plays the game, and he's looking forward to watching the show tonight. My cousin Kevin, and I think his opinion is not he's not alone on this when he says that he's very concerned about the casting of Bella Ramsey as Ellie. Bella Ramsey is the actress from Game of Thrones, if you remember. She's playing Ellie on this show. Um, and he's not my cousin Kev is not alone on that camp. Wondering if that's gonna work or not. They're not hating Bella. They're just like, the reason is because they think Bella Ramsey just doesn't look like Ellie. Bella doesn't have even remotely a physical resemblance to Ellie in the game. I guess that the concern is that it might throw them off when they're watching the show. And you know what? I saw the episode, and guess what? You're right. Bella looks nothing like Ellie at all. Even the way she does her hair. But I ask you this: do you want somebody who looks like Ellie, or do you want somebody who can embody Ellie? Do you want somebody who has the physical appearance of Ellie, or do you want somebody who has a great acting that can actually capture Ellie's essence? Because Bella has the acting chops to pull this off. Trust me, she does. Bella's performance on this show strikes me as a girl who is really, really pissed off. Like, she has like a really this burning, like, I gotta get this anger out of me. Like, she has a grind to get. Like, again, for the thousandth time, I'm not a gamer, so I don't know about Ellie's backstory. Those of you hardcore fans of The Last of Us can fill in those gaps for me. But Bella on this episode acts like a girl who has a lot of fight in her. Like she's had it up to here with everything. and everything and everyone, which fits the show's theme of survival and doing whatever you can to stay alive. Um, so that's the impression that Bella gives, or leaves on me on this episode. By the way, Pedro, if you're wondering, Pedro as Joel in The Last of Us, not only does he look like kind of like Joel on the game, but Pedro's performance is stoic and badass, and he's also compelling and deeply moving as a father who's still stricken with grief and heartache. So great piece of acting by Pedro as well. Now, without giving too much away, on this episode, we first see Ellie chained up in a room or a building owned by what I assume to be some kind of a rebel group. This is also the same place where Joel and Ellie cross paths. I don't need to tell you what is actually special about Ellie, right? A lot of you already know or gonna get the idea, right? Why Ellie is so special. Hell, even this episode doesn't need to tell you, or doesn't tell you at all, or doesn't say it. This episode doesn't say, but you get the picture. You get the idea as to the reason uh, that catapults Joel and Ellie and Tessa's journey out of the quarantine zone and into the wilderness. Um, is this show scary? Um, me, I'm a big fan of horror movies. I've seen so many to the point where it's gonna take a lot to actually scare the shit out of me. But the episode that I saw had its scary parts. I tell you that much. Obviously, there's still much to uncover about the virus and the infection. Hopefully, in the subsequent episodes or in the rest of this season. But there were moments on this episode that totally did get me jumpy. Okay, so it, the scary elements worked, or they are effective. Um, the look and the design for the post-apocalyptic world is gritty and everything that you expect from such a genre. It definitely captures that sort of um, wild west environment, where everybody's just looking out for number one, looking out for themselves, and trust runs on thin ice. um, so as far as the designs go, this is one adaptation that I think goes above and beyond to be respectful to the world that the video game created. And again, having Neil and everybody involved hands on with the project helps. This is not an adaptation that, okay, we're gonna buy the rights to this video game and then we're just gonna run off and do our own thing and not involve the guys who handle the video game. No, this is pretty much a concerted, a collaborative, a cooperative effort. By everybody involved, video game and the adaptation, and I think that's the right way to do it. Um, I know that video game adaptation has a track record of being terrible, especially in the movies on the big screen. They're like, oh my god, another Resident Evil. Like, oh, they suck again. Um, but I think I can safely argue that this is probably one of the first video game adaptation done right. One of the first video game adaptation that's done with such care and attention, and they really want to appease the fans of the video game and also invite the fans who may not be gamers like me. So I think they did this two-pronged approach really, really well, in my opinion, based on the episode I've seen, of course. Um, I think that's all I got to say about this at this point. A lot of the creative choices on this first episode also were amazing and remarkable, especially the first few minutes that look like retro, that look like you'll see what I'm talking about. I won't spoil it for you here. Um, but you can see clearly that I genuinely like this episode that I watch. So I'll end on this. Is it fair to say? Let me get a drink here. Is it fair to say, or to ask the question, um, is The Last of Us here to fill the void that The Walking Dead left behind? Well, actually, The Walking Dead will still have a ton of spin-offs. As you all know, they have greenlit a lot of spin-offs of The Walking Dead that are coming your way in the few years to come. So it's not like The Walking Dead franchise is being replaced by anything, right? This show is not replacing The Walking Dead at all because The Walking Dead franchise will still exist and will still continue because that's a franchise that keeps going and going and going and going like Energizer Bunny. Um, but it is fair to say that if you like The Walking Dead, then odds are you are gonna like The Last of Us just as much because this adaptation um, caters to the same fans, caters to the same audience, and it has it. From what I've seen, it seems like it might be going in the same direction as well, meaning they're gonna try to figure out Ellie's, why she's, the fact that she's special, as you know why, and they're gonna try to fight the infected along the way in their journey, but they're also gonna have to fight the people that they encounter along the way. So that's the same formula as The Walking Dead, fighting the dead and fighting the living at the same time. So it is fair to say that if you like The Walking Dead, you're gonna like The Last of Us. But The Last of Us is not gonna replace The Walking Dead. And so based on what I've seen so far, the rest of this season one of The Last of Us looks to be promising, and I'm willing to bet that The Last of Us is only gonna get better and better and better from here on out. So yeah, okay, that's it. Those are the notes that I have. And I'm sorry I have to do the review here in this format again because they didn't give me enough time to put together a well edited, concise video review for you guys. They fucked me, and there's no way, there's there's no there's no else way to put that. They fucked me, and now I got a ton of shit thing to do today, including watching Arsenal versus Tottenham, and then work again tonight. So and other reviews that I have to do. So I apologize that this is the only format that I could give this review of The Last of Us. But I hope you guys can share this video with everybody you know and enjoy The Last of Us premiering tonight on HBO. Okay, thank you so much, you guys. Subscribe. Let's rock this.